Hey, what are you doing this weekend? I'll be pedaling 118 miles over 5 mountain passes to raise money for Children's Hospital. Whew, that's hard work.
Here we go.
Hi, I'm the captain of Team Parker. We ride every year in the Courage Classic Bike Tour to honor the memory of Parker Caldara, daughter of Independence Institute President Jon Caldara. After wearing him down over the course of many years, Caldara has finally agreed to ride with us. But we need your help to make this happen. If we can reach a fundraising goal of $20,000, Jon has promised to don a pair of spandex shorts, jump on a bike, and join us in the Courage Classic. So come on, get out your credit card and donate to a really great cause. Check out the link below.
Trust me, you don't want to see me on that bike, really. But if you could help out Children's Hospital, we would appreciate it. Go to independenceinstitute.org. There's a link there, and I appreciate it so much. Anyway, I want to talk to this gentleman about birds. Peter, help me with your last name, because I'm not going to get Reshetniak very well. How close was I?
Pretty close, Reshetniak.
Reshetniak.
Very phonetic.
It's a good Norwegian name.
It's a good Irish name.
Yeah. You're with the Raptor Education Foundation.
Yes.
All right. All I can remember is I remember in high school there was a Far Side cartoon, and it had like a vulture and an eagle, and they were wearing sunglasses, and they just said, "Birds of prey know they're cool."
That's right.
What is it about raptors that has given you to dedicate so much of your life to this?
I like predators. I especially like the avian predators. And the history of raptors goes back with humankind about 4,000 years that we know of.
What do you mean with humans?
We're actually working with humans.
I mean
Falconry
really?
Was established at least 4,000 years ago somewhere in Central Asia. And somebody somewhere, some poor peasant, discovered by watching raptors hunting that, gosh, if he could tame them or train them, in this case, they would help him put extra protein on the table. And that's kind of how all of that started. And it's been practiced now culturally across the world. And it's practiced here in the United States and in Colorado to various degrees of success.
Now, your foundation helps preserve raptors, but it sounds to me like really what you have is a retirement home for raptors. Is that a better way of putting this?
I call it assisted living for raptors because the birds that we get come to us from rehabilitation organizations across the United States. We don't do any rehab. We take them after they fail that process, and the law.
They have drug problems?
They have behavioral problems.
Oh, not that kind of rehab, not like my uncle's rehab. Like that.
Very similar, actually.
Yeah.
Some of them get hit by speeding bullets. Some of them get hit by speeding cars. Some of them get tangled up in kite strings. Some of them get toxic shock from lead saturation that they've picked up from carcasses.
Really?
Oh, absolutely.
And so why not just let them die or eat them?
The taste of predators typically isn't for most people's palates.
You've had it?
Not avian predators.
Ah.
Okay, other predators.
We're not talking murderers here, are we?
Which murderers? Predators are all murderers.
All right. So, but why not just euthanize them? Why spend all this energy to save raptors?
Some of them can be rehabilitated well enough to be released back into the wild, and in the case of species that are threatened, and most raptors fall into the threatened category. Back when we started in the 80s, bald eagles were still threatened, actually endangered species. Peregrine falcons were endangered. So instead of taking those birds that can't be released, some of them can be managed in such a way that they can be turned into a great teaching resource. I call them ambassadors for the folks that don't know anything about the natural world.
Where is this place? Where is the Raptor Education Foundation?
We're based in Brighton, Colorado.
Can people come out and check it out and actually see the birds?
Yep, you can come out for a private tour. Reservations online. We normally require about 10 days in advance because we have a small staff and we're traveling a lot.
How many birds do you have there?
27.
Really? What's the coolest?
Wow.
Big, huge bald eagle or something?
No, bald eagles are not that cool for me.
Are you communist? Of course they're cool.
They're cool, but golden eagles are faster to train and they don't forget. Bald eagles train very slowly and they forget very quickly. So in order
Have any vultures?
We have one turkey vulture, which is the only indigenous vulture in Colorado.
Those are creepy looking birds. I've seen them around Colorado.
Extremely intelligent.
Really?
Very intelligent.
I guess if you're ugly, you need to have some intelligence to survive.
Well, we both sort of know about that.
All right. So, the reason I really wanted to talk to you was to talk about the environmental movement around birds. Mm-hmm. And here you are working hard to save these birds. You're one of the organizations that have spoken out against windmills. This is, we used what was once called condor Cuisinarts because birds and wind power don't get along too well. Am I right about this?
You're very correct about that.
What is the damage?
Windmills, but actually industrial wind farms. It's probably more appropriate.
Why? What's wrong with a wind farm versus, why can't wind farms, he asks, I think knowing the answer, why can't wind farms and these endangered species live together?
Well, they can't live together for very long. The mechanical units tend to decapitate or maim the biological units. What happens if the sites...
They get sliced. They get hit.
They get sliced. If they're lucky, they get decapitated. I mean, I call it an aerial jihad against wildlife. What happens is, if you place a wind farm in areas that are free from birds, generally have no problems except for the economic fact that they don't work well. They're intermittent sources of energy supply. But if you place them in areas with lots of raptors, which many of the sites that have a lot of wind have lots of raptors, other birds, bats, what happens?
And tell me if I'm wrong on this. Bats are particularly susceptible to wind farms, and it's not so much that they get hit, and they do get hit,
right,
but the change, they're such sensitive creatures that the change behind and in front of a windmill is so strong that their lungs actually explode from the pressure difference and they drop and die. Am I
You're correct. What happens is with the sudden pressure change, the internal pressure in the capillaries in the lungs, actually they drown from their own blood coming up into their lungs. So that literally they fall out of the air because they're drowning from their own blood. Yeah.
So pardon me, I'm trying to get a handle on this. The environmentalists that I know, and the ones that I've seen in Boulder who are there trying to take vacuum cleaners to suck out prairie dogs and move them 20 feet over to this place, they seem to care so much about the wildlife, but when it comes to windmills, there seems to be very few organizations that stand up and say, oh my God, the devastation here is bad. Tell me if I've got this part wrong. I've heard that some of the Native American Indian lands, they have permits from the feds to take 1 or 2 eagles a year as part of their hunting rituals, but wind farms, some of them have had a takings basically saying, you get a pass, whatever you need to kill, you kill, because we need the wind. Am I wrong on this?
No, you're quite correct on that.
Really, what are the numbers?
The numbers of animals
killed,
given by.
Tell me.
Yeah,
give me the size of this.
Some of the best data available nationwide, fairly conservative numbers, are about 500,000 birds a year. And about 1 million bats a year. Now, in certain areas where there's real hard data for raptors, specifically the Northern California area, one of the oldest wind farm complexes in the United States is Altamont Pass. And there, just golden eagles alone, they're killing about 75 to 116 golden eagles per year.
Wow.
And then you've got red-tailed hawks getting chopped up at larger numbers. You've got burrowing owls, American kestrels, hawks. So the larger raptors just funnel into those things, and so they've been tracking this in Altamont Pass for quite a long time. They just closed down 800 of those turbines because there's 3 different companies, I believe, in that consortium that's put up 3,000 turbines. 800 have been closed down because the company, these are older units, can't afford to replace them, and so we're going to see a drop of killing in that area, but there's still a little over 2,000 left.
These are basically minefields for these endangered species and for endangered bats. I mean, this is difficult. You're part of a group, and we're working with you on intervening in a wind farm project out east that is just mammoth in scale and being pushed through. And I see environmentalists use all sorts of things to slow down energy production. You know, we can't build a dam here because there's this weird frog that lives here that might be endangered. We can't build a power plant there. We can't do coal mining here because of a certain rodent that lives here, and all these other things. Why is it that the environmental left seems to be completely blind to this carnage?
Well, I think part of it is they've bought into this utopian solution of clean energy, free energy, and that's the promise of solar and wind farms. Neither one of those two are either free or clean. When you look at the whole production cycle of wind farms or solar, the sourcing of all those minerals from these horrible mines in China, for instance, the rare earth minerals for the special magnets for the generators that are required for the big wind turbines, those are filthy to start. The biggest problem with that is their intermittent supplies of energy. When the sun don't shine, you got no solar. When the wind
don't blow,
you got no wind energy.
Talk to me more directly about birds. I mean, I'm assuming that you're working arm in arm with the Audubon Society or Ducks Unlimited and all these other groups, that you have a unified front to stop this environmental devastation to these endangered species, right?
We can't get anybody to back up our lone voice, except for one group called the American Bird Conservancy. A big operation back east actually sued the federal government to stop a 30-year waiver that was given to wind farms to kill eagles and other raptors. They stopped that 30-year waiver. Right now, there's a
30-year waiver.
Right.
So I remember as a kid, eagles being on the death list, saying they're going to go the way of the buffalo. They're going to go, and now they're saying, go ahead, just take as many as you like for 30 years.
ABC, American Bird Conservancy, went to federal court, stopped them from doing that. There's still a 5-year waiver. The reason the wind farms went to the 30-year waiver, that's how long they allege the payout cycle on the investment is.
Less than a minute here, so help me out. These guys who should be allies of yours, why aren't they allies of yours to save these birds?
The only thing we can figure out is they're monetizing their silence.
How do you mean?
Basically, some of them, especially in England, it is a very strong rumor that the Royal Society for the Preservation of Birds is actually getting money from the wind farm conglomerates to stay silent.
So in other words, a little payoff. People want to get more information about this, more information about how to see your birds. Where do they go?
Go to the Raptor Education Foundation on Facebook, or go to our website, which is www.usaref.org, or Raptor Education Foundation.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Tell a friend, and we'll see you next week.